Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this one I thought I would tell you guys how I stopped being pressed literally how I stopped going through the world being triggered, and how I got a better hold of, emotional regulation. Now, number one is I understood how to have a conversation. Now I know that this sounds crazy, but I literally been going through the world not understanding what a conversation is. For me, it was always about convincing the other person that I was right. My goal when having a conversation with someone else wasn't like to understand them and their point of view and where they were coming from. My goal was to try that at the end of the conversation they would say, you know what, you're actually right, I never saw it that way, but you're right. Going forward from now on, I am going to think about this particular subject like you do. Now, game changer, you guys. The moment I understood and let go of the recruiting, the moment I understood that other people had different parents, okay, that they had a different upbringing, they have a different set of trauma, and they will not see the world like I do, my life changed tremendously, okay? And I know that this sounds really easy, but truly I find most people don't really grasp this, okay? Conversations are about getting another point of view. Nowadays when I converse with someone, except when we are talking about factual facts, I am not really bothered when they don't share my opinion. I'm like, oh, and sometimes people have really interesting perspective as well, so I'm really glad that I got to see the thing from another angle. Sometimes I even change my mind, but not always. That's not the goal. Fact is, I'm having a conversation with another person and they have another viewpoint, and that's all that there is to it. I have a sister, shout out to my sister. Now she won't see this but my sister and I, we are very, very different, and we grew up in the same home, we had the same parents, okay, we experienced the same thing, and yet we couldn't be more different. So are my cousins, etc, etc. You get my point. So for us to expect other people to view the world like we do, it's really a false errand. Why and how could they? They are different people. So that's the number one thing that helped me a lot. The second thing that helped me is not take anything personally. I used to do this thing where when I used to go to the grocery store or to the beauty supply store or drugstore mark, it used to affect me a lot when the store clerks or the person who is working in the cash registry isn't nice to me. I wouldn't confront them, I wouldn't tell them anything, but I would go through the day really carrying that with me. I would think why it is they wasn't nice. Does it have anything to do with my skin color, since I am a West African who live in Germany? And I just couldn't let it go, you guys. And I read a book one day. It's called The Four Agreement. I think it's from, oh, I can't remember the name of the author now. I will link it in the description box, but it's Jose something, I think. And one of the rules was never take anything personally, and that really helped me tremendously. The day I started doing that, understanding that people are not acting the way they act because of me. It could be because they have a bad day, it could be because their child is sick, it could be because they really dislike their job, it could be because they're insecure, it could be because they're going through money issues, it could be because their parent is sick. Do you get my point, you guys? There are so many reasons why people may react to you the way they do, and more time than not, none of it has anything to do with you. So you will be a lot less stressed when you go through the world understanding that nothing that other people do has anything to do with you. Okay, do not take anything personally. Number 4, understand that shame is a choice, embarrassment is a choice, anger is a choice. Now I know that this sounds crazy. Lord knows there were days when I heard people say this stuff, it used to really upset me. But again, I was choosing to be upset, right? At any given day, on any given situation, you guys, you cannot control what's going on in the world. You cannot control what other people do, what they say, how they feel. But what you can always control, what you are always in control of, is yourself, of how you feel. You can always control your emotions. So when having a conversation with somebody, if you feel yourself being worked up, understand that this is within your control, that you can choose to breathe, you can choose to walk away, you can choose not to feel whatever it is you're feeling. You can choose to feel differently, like even on emotion, like, you know, shame and stuff like that. Understand that you don't have to be ashamed or feel inferior. Nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. I don't remember who that is from, but it is so true. And it's the same with shame. Nobody can make you feel ashamed unless you already feel ashamed. I don't care, even if it's something, a behavior that society by and large doesn't see as respectable or see it as something that one should be ashamed of. Unless you feel shame about it, then it don't matter. The whole world could say it's wrong. If you don't feel like it's wrong, then it won't be wrong. So keep that in mind. You are always in control of, you know, your emotion, of how you feel. Now the third thing that really helped me is, in any given interaction, asking myself, okay, what's the goal here? That's so important. And I know it sounds crazy put like this, but it really is important when having, you know, dealing with other people. Ask yourself, what is the goal of this conversation? Let's say you are having, you know, a conversation with an colleague, and slowly but surely you're getting agitated. Ask yourself, you know, what's the goal of this conversation? If the goal is, you know, to get along and be able to work with this person long term, how is, you know, being agitated, being upset, yelling, how is that going to help you in your like endeavor? I guess this is better explained when it comes to friends and family members or loved ones. Like, oftentimes ask yourself, what is better, being right, or, you know, actually having a good time with this person? And you will find that a lot of the time it's actually better to have a good time with the person than to be right. So this really helped me regulate my emotion when it comes to, you know, having conversation and dealing with friends and family members. Oftentimes I let it go. Instead of, you know, really getting upset and getting into it with them, I let it go, because not because I'm wrong, but because I understand that I actually would like better to get along with them. Okay, and I guess what really helped me do that, which is the fourth thing, is understanding that other people may not be as self-aware as you are. This is really important. You know, when I started my healing journey, which is about 5 years ago, I really had a hard time getting along with my friends and family members. You know, one thing that I realized is that I used to be able to have long conversation with my mother. Like, we would literally spend 4 or 5 hours on the phone. My mom is my best friend, shout out to my mother. And then when I started healing, I could not get, you know, through 40 minutes on the phone with her without us starting to bicker, starting to, you know, fight. I guess fight isn't the right word, more argue. And I had to ask myself, what's going on here? Why is it that I can't get along with my mom anymore? It's something that really saddened me, because I adore her and I know how much she loves me, right? And I had to understand that I was expecting me from her, right? I would argue with her and get upset about stuff like boundaries, forgetting that she doesn't even know what that means, right? Like, it was ridiculous, you know. Again, ask yourself, be self-aware enough and ask yourself, does this person even understand this concept? You know, in any given day, when getting worked up, having a conversation with somebody, ask yourself, do they even understand this concept? Like, does it even make any sense? And I find that when it comes to stuff like this, you're gonna have only two choices: either cut the person off completely, or, you know, just meet them where they are. For obviously with my mom, I chose to meet her where she's at, but I find that this is so important. A lot of the time we don't get along with people because we simply refuse to meet them where they are, you know. And so that's, we're well within our right to do that. There are a lot of people that I will not meet where they are, you know, they're just not worth it to me. But in this case, you'll have to cut them off. Understand that there will be no middle ground here, really, literally. Like, you'll either have to cut them off or meet them where they are, but you are not going to be able to, you know, get them to be where you are, because that's just, you know, they have just not invested, you know, the amount of work that you have in order to be there. They literally don't know what you're talking about. Like, I've had conversation with my mom. I was so upset, like I was so angry, I felt so disrespected, and she literally had no clue. Like, she literally didn't understand why I was so upset. Like, literally, she wasn't doing it to upset me. Like, she literally was not getting it, legit. So, you know, ask yourself at any given moment, in any given conversation that you're having with somebody where you find that you're being worked up, like, does this person even understand what this is about? And, you know, if the answer is no, obviously, like I said, choose to meet them where they are or just disengage completely. Nothing else is gonna work. Now, this is going to sound like it's unrelated, but it really isn't. Stuff like sleep really makes a difference on, you know, being able to go through the day being chilled or not. If you haven't slept enough, you're going to get upset much more quicker than if you had, you know, at least 7 hours of sleep. So make sure that, you know, you get 7 hours of sleep regularly. Avoid eating too much sugar. I find that, you know, having a lot of sugar in your system, in your bloodstream, first of all, it makes you crave even more sugar, but second of all, it also makes emotional regulation difficult. The same goes for coffee, caffeine, and really every type of drugs, whether it's, you know, cigarette, nicotines, like everything that's very addictive. Alcohol, obviously, it goes without saying. So make sure that your consumption of these things, if you're not null or void, make sure that it is low, because I find that they make emotional regulation and, you know, difficult. Anyways, you guys, those are my top tips to stay unbothered. Remember, ladies, stress ages you, okay? Drink your water and mind the business that pays you. And that's on Mary and the lamb. Okay, do not forget to give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. In the comment section down below, let me know what are your top tips in order to stay unbothered. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel as well, and I will talk to you guys soon and very soon. Bye guys.